Hi.
Hiya.
John?
Lou, we're in the third one, talking about worry and letting go. I'm at the age in my life when I can look back and really begin to kind of assess some of the ways I've done stuff. And I've had a huge worry, really struggled with it.
Yeah.
But it is true to say, in this many circumstances that have come into my life, that when I'm worrying about them and catastrophizing about what could happen, many of the what could happens, the what ifs, just have not happened. And I put a lot of energy into that. And looking back on it, I was thinking, what was that about?
You read it?
This is going on. Living with a problem drinker can produce what some call hypervigilance, always scanning the horizon, waiting for the next crisis. Sadly and ironically, this can drain us of the very energy we may need if a drinking crisis arises. Make a decision to meet trouble only and if it comes your way, not anticipate it before it actually happens.
Yeah, there's a lovely quote. It's often attributed to either Winston Churchill or Mark Twain. I think it was actually Mark Twain that said it, which is, I've had many worries in my life, some of which actually happened.
Yes.
And I think it's a really pithy way of summing up, how, much of what we worry about just doesn't happen.
There's an ideal place for getting them to comment. An ideal place to comment. If you know the quote and where it comes from exactly, then let us know. Because somebody might be thinking out there, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
So we're getting you to feedback, so comment or to the video. But it's an ironic but really true.
Oh,
statement,
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I used to worry about and think, we've all had the dreams of being, sort of standing naked in the middle of a stage, and this worry about how we're going to be exposed, etc. And this is our mind telling us these are our deepest fears.
Yeah. Now, if you live with a problem drinker, this will be in multi-technicolor really, because I know and you know that many of the things you're worried about happen on a daily basis. With a binge drinker, it's as if there's a volcano that erupts on a regular basis, but you never quite know when it's going to erupt. So all the time you're looking out for lava.
Well, that's the thing, I mean, my binge drinking was, I would, towards the end, I would do about 2 months sober, and then it would break out again, But what my wife did was worried all those 2 months, waiting for it, and eventually it was, see, told you, at the end of the 2 months, when I did actually do it.
So understandable, but we said in the other bit of the quote, you need your energy when the worry is real, when it's absolutely happening. You don't need it in between times. So is it possible, do you think, just to make the decision to say, I'm not going to address what might be until it happens?
It's possible, but it's not easy.
No, it's a journey, that one.
It is a journey, and it's difficult to sort of put these fears down. There's no doubt about it. But again, we talked about in the last video, one of the things that helps it is actually to bring it out into the open and say, this is the fear, and examine it. Because some of our fears are quite rational, some of our fears are, shall we say, less rational. Understandable, but not quite rational.
Yeah. I think that to understand that, I use the image of a sofa quite a lot because, people do take up residence in our head, and they're like unwanted bullying guests that sit in the middle of the sofa of our mind and cause chaos. And we feel very intimidated by them. But actually what you find is if you begin to say, no, I'm not going to let you ruin my life, I'm not going to let you make me worry all the time, they then begin to become much less intimidated, and you can get to the point where you take them out of your mind. And again, your psyche is kind of looking at this thinking, have you got the authority? But you have got the authority. You can decide how you think and feel.
My worry, particularly as I was getting sober and I no longer had the crutch of drinking, I was faced with a lot of worries, a lot of anxieties, and I had two tools that I used. One of them, Lou laughs at every time I bring it out, but it helped me so much. And it was my granny. My granny said, you know, I've never died a winter yet, you know, and you think, what's all that about, you know, and that's her saying, you know, it might never happen. It might never happen. And that's what and I wondered about saying that, you know. I was sort of using it on a regular basis, you know.
But it's also, I hear in that, it's never been so bad that I've not been able to get through the dark times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an encouragement in there as
Oh,
well.
it's absolutely an encouragement. That's it. You know, it's about survival. And the other thing I used was the Serenity Prayer, which is a part of Alcoholics Anonymous, and it says,
Amazing
"God
prayer.
grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and for me, what is the most important bit of all, and the wisdom to know the difference." You know, and that really, really helped me. And I used that a lot. You know, when I was in a really difficult situation, you'd hear me, you know, and as I say, it really helped. And if you could find something, some little aphorism, some mantra, whatever you can put into that situation that makes you feel better, then do it. You know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a pastor, and so in the environment I grew up with, it used to be the Bible. We were talking about a promise in a scripture or something like that, you know.
Yeah, and some people use that.
Yeah, and it was very, very effective. I think hypervigilance is this constantly scanning the horizon, waiting for the next tragedy and chaos to happen. And I think even with the clients that I work with, and you know, first of all, I teach them to recognise it. You know, and then you can begin to say, "Oh, I'm being hypervigilant again," and that's the equivalent of you saying to the person restlessly going around your mind, "Sit down."
Yeah.
Because you know, if I had a kid that was just running and running around the kitchen, I'd say, "Stop it and sit down." You know, so again, if you're aware of doing it, acknowledge it and say, "I'm being hypervigilant," and move away from constantly scanning your horizon.
The other thing to do is, you know, use that energy that you're to do something else. You know, so you've got a kid that's running about, and you rather than say sit down, say, "Could you do this when you're up there?" You know, and then it takes that bit of energy and uses it for something more positive. You know.
Yeah. And you know, think of an example that helps you. Like I've just immediately thought of an example of how you would supervise a child by actually having a parental voice that quietens that bit down. That works in your mind as well.
Absolutely.
It absolutely does. You know?
Absolutely.
There is, in fact, you know, I've studied transactional analysis, and they actually talk about parent, ego state and the adult and the child, and the parent ego state can, you know, supervise and begin to work with the other bits. So, you know. You might feel as if it's hard, and by golly, we really understand that, but you can. And every little change, encourage yourself, because just even if you worry 24 hours a day, and then you work, and then you worry 23, you just give yourself a huge pat on the back, and then say, well, if I do 23, I could do 22. So it is a journey that we go on.
But these things don't happen immediately.
No.
You know, you don't just get pixie dust and sprinkle on it and that's it. You have to work at it. You know, I mean, I'm sitting here at the moment and I'm hurting. Why? Because I started running again yesterday, and I'm hurting. You know, I'm hurting because I'm out of practice. But I know that if I keep going, then I will be sitting here not hurting next week, you know. So it's about doing the work, and then you get the rewards. You don't get the rewards before you do the work. Sorry, I wish I had different news for you, but it's true. So, as we said in a previous video, practice makes perfect.
Yeah, and just one little step at a time. And each time you do it, you're giving yourself the message, I can manage my life. I can't manage my drinkers, but I can manage mine. And if you're a drinker, what would you say? Because there's huge anxiety, isn't there, as a drinker? Is there a hypervigilance in a drinker?
Yeah, but it's a different hypervigilance in the drinker. You know, it's more unknown, unnamed fears in the drinker. You know, when you're the partner of a drinker, then you think, oh, he or she's going to do this or she's going to do that. But with the drinker, there's a kind of existential fear. There's something there, and I don't feel good. You know, I have a creepy feeling. You know, and the drink will help this creepy feeling. So it's not quite the same, but the handling of it's the same. You know, distraction's a big part of that. You know, also using things like, you know, the Serenity Prayer, and that's what I'm saying. As I was getting sober, I used these. You know, my granny's saying, you know, never died of winter yet, and the Serenity Prayer, and these were the things that helped me get through it. The other thing that helped me get through it was talk to somebody, share, get it out, talk to somebody. You know?
And if you've got any tips, again, we're trying to get people to make comments and feedback. Please, again, put it on the forum, put it under the videos. Can you comment to these videos?
Oh, there's a comment box down there.
Yeah, and please hear us. We know these issues are hard. We in never way ever want to be trite about these things. These are real concerns. These are hard situations. But you're not going to be helped by us just saying, yeah, it's awful, isn't it? You know, what you need is us to encourage you to take small steps to take your world back. Okay. Thank you for listening, and we're checking again with you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.